What's up, boys? It's Feeds back with another video. Today we're going to talk about Nethril. This is probably one of my more favorite heroes in the game because he provides a lot of function, a lot of capability, a lot of different builds you can do with him, and he's still really strong as a hero. The particular build that I have is a speed and accuracy based build. This makes it easier, especially because he's got one of the lowest base speeds in the game. To function well with an arena, function well on clan boss, and still do a lot of things that you need to do. There's more traditional builds you can do for clan boss or for dungeons with the lifesteal set and accuracy. That particular build isn't something that really catered to me, and because I run with a certain type of supports when I do use Nethril, I find it more advantageous to do it this way. So we'll jump right into it. Nethril's build can be pretty unique, just for the simple fact that his stats are a little wonky. His base stats for his speed, of course, really bad, and his defense is relatively low. His attack power is decently high, but not high enough to offset all the other stuff. And then he's got generally lower base pool. So when you go into this, you have to kind of address a couple things. The first being his health. In this instance, I happened to get a relatively decent set of trinkets or necklaces and rings that had HP on them. In addition to, of course, getting things from like the Great Hall and Arena tier, I was able to boost him up to about 45,000 HP. With his attack still around 3k, so even if I opted to go with something a little bit faster, something a little more specific, he still does a ton of damage to it. And then of course his overall speed's at 130, which is relatively low for Arena, but still works for Dragon, and when I'm doing Clan Boss, he works right into my rotation, so I don't ever want to push him over that. Crit rate's relatively low because we don't focus on crit with him per se. And the reason why we don't do this is because most of his damage is going to come from Giant Slayer and his poisons, so I don't need to worry too much about that. And then of course his crit damage just kind of came by proxy. If he ends up doing a decent crit, he'll do a decent amount of chunk damage, provided it's not the wrong affinity when it comes to him. And the most important part is the accuracy. As you can see, focus a lot on the accuracy when it comes to it, almost 200%. When I get my next Great Hall set up for him, he'll be a little bit higher. I think it'll be like over 170, which would be good in regards to a lot of stuff, especially when you're fighting higher resist monsters like Dragon 20, Spider 20, so on and so forth. So we'll talk about his abilities a little bit, kind of the beauty of his build and go into it. So the reason why he's so good for Arena, more than anything else, we'll kind of go backwards, is this right here, Bat Swarm. Attacks all enemies, decreases turn meter by 75%. And you can get that down to 4 turns when you have it fully leveled up. This is really strong because whenever you get turn meter reduction down in Arena, effectively you offset them to do another round or another rotation of abilities, which is really good for you. Obviously it doesn't blend in well with some of the counterattack builds that I run, but if you do get into an instance where you do have that, it's very good to have when it comes to his A2, Ghostly Horrors. Attacks all enemies, has 50% chance of placing a stun debuff on all of the enemies for 1 turn. Places 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns if the target is not under a stun debuff. So this is really strong for a lot of different reasons. When you're fighting Spider, when you're doing a lot of your campaign stuff, when you're doing Arena, the ability to stun or slow down people makes it significantly strong. And then of course you do a relatively large amount of damage that comes with it too, and a good amount. So if you did run a higher crit damage, this is actually a pretty deadly ability when it comes to it. And then of course the creme de la creme, the best part of his ability set, his skill sets that are so good, is Blood Harvest. Attacks one enemy 3 times, has a 30% chance of placing a 5% poison debuff for 2 turns. Damage is based on attack. And then of course if you level it up, it's another 20% chance. In addition to, you get 10% damage increase by leveling it up as well. So the reason why this is good for multiple reasons is 1, Blood Harvest synergizes with your Giant Slayer Mastery. And for those of you who don't know, Giant Slayer Mastery has 30% chance of inflicting bonus damage when attacking. Bonus damage is equal to 7.5% of the target champion's max HP, or 3% of target's max HP when attacking bosses. Bonus damage can occur on each hit of a skill, but does not count as an extra hit. So what that simply means is that when you not only do you have a chance to do 5% damage from your poison, you also have another 3% chance to do another 3% damage done to the boss. So effectively, on one swing, if you proc properly, you can do 8% damage to the boss, which is pretty significant for clan boss, higher level dungeons, things of that nature when it comes to it. Not to mention, His 3-swing, even if it doesn't do a ton of damage, works great for Fire Knight. So he's one of the few blendable characters that you can use in almost every instance or campaign without any real particular issue or circumstance that comes to it. The other part of him that comes in handy too is if you run with a turn meter increase and turn meter decrease, as well as damage output, he's pretty significant, and you can get his power rating pretty high without having to put a lot of work into it when it comes to it. So Nethril's skill sets are really good. Like I said, focusing primarily on speed with him to get him up, juiced up a little bit more. Obviously, I didn't go with speed substats because I'm not too worried about it, especially because you don't ever want to speed him too fast if you're running counterattack, because you can outspeed your counterattack counts, which can in fact kind of do more damage than harm when it comes to it. You can kind of limit yourself to that. Now, if you went pure speed with him with accuracy substats, you can effectively get up to 180, 190% speed if you wanted to. But you end up sacrificing a lot of other stats or substats when it comes to it. So you have to kind of consider that when building Nethril in a lot of different areas that go to it. So I'll show you real quick kind of what he does on Dragon. We won't do Dragon 20 for the sake of making it a little bit shorter for this video, but we'll kind of talk about some of the stuff that he goes through and kind of the rotations that we kind of play with it. So we'll just do Dragon 15 for the sake of it, just to make it a little bit easier. Actually, we'll just do 13 just to show you guys, and that's even playing again. Actually, we'll do 14. We'll do 14 to kind of play into the affinity a little bit better to make this go by quick. So as you can see, I run with Valkyrie when it comes to it. Usually when I do my Nethril on any of my builds, I'll have Valkyrie Skull Crusher available to make it work. And the reason why that is one, because I don't have Martyr, and two, because the functionality that you get from counterattack is really good, because it gives you another set of 3 swings for Giant Slayer and 3 swings for the poison, so you can effectively do a ton of damage pretty quickly with it. So as you can see, he kind of goes a little bit later in my rotation. And the auto attack will always use your AoE abilities if they're up. Now the catch is I have an ability that gives me more accuracy when my cooldowns are up. So usually when I fight clan boss, my accuracy will go up in addition to what I already have currently, which makes him even more effective when it comes to him. Even against affinities, like magic affinities that goes into it, he still does a ton of chunk damage because of the Giant Slayer procs, plus the fact that you can get your poison procs on it, even if they do get resisted every now and then when it comes to it. So the catch to it too, though, is that when you have a low percentage of proc, especially if you don't have him geared up or skilled up, he will be really ineffective. And the reason why is because you have a 2 chance to resist on this. And what I mean by that is that you have a 30% chance for it to proc, and then you have whatever the resist value is / accuracy value is to resist again. So effectively you can get it to not proc, and you can get it to resist, or you can get it to proc and then it will resist on you. So there's always 2 chances to it. So 30% is kind of a relative number. So if you ever play him and it seems like you're doing less damage with him because of that, just know that your accuracy is high enough in order to do that stuff. So as you can see, going through, putting the poisons on, attacking, obviously I let it auto, so it already used my counterattack, and then of course the poisons. So we were able to get 2 poisons there, plus a Giant Slayer proc, which makes good damage, which makes it really strong overall. And then of course, being able to do this with Nethril, you can do him with effectively any boss out there. He works great on Ice Golem, works great on Spider, works great on Fire Knight. You can do any of the keeps with him. He's going to be one of your stronger characters overall that you can get. If you build him to be a little tankier in arena, he actually has a lot of good potential. The problem is that when you get into a low base speed character, especially when it's something like that, you either need a ton of HP to offset, which makes it difficult because you're playing against characters like Torvald and Sir Nicholas, who have a higher base speed and do a little bit more damage and get a little bit more HP out of it. And effectively they can do some form of disable or potential output that would be more significant than that. So just things to consider. I did use him with a top build for a while, and he actually worked really well with Ignatius. Obviously you can use Drexthar or another variety of AoE taunt that you have available, but he does give you some potential in that regard. So if you do something, he would be great with top builds. Top builds are disable builds where you can minimize their turn meter on the 2nd or 3rd swing, which means that they have to sit through another round of being stunned or disabled while you're doing whatever you're doing. Now the kicker is if you run with like a sleep build or something like that, obviously his effectiveness goes down because of the poison. As you can see, a ton of damage from that. The amount of damage he put out was the highest damage in the round. That was auto attacking or just doing the auto run with it when it comes to it. But that'll be it, guys, for this video. Nethril's, like I said, probably one of the strongest heroes you can pull. He has a lot of pull potential, but building him wrong or incorrectly can definitely play a huge factor in how he gets built. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, suggested builds that you've ever done with him, feel free to leave a comment below. If you guys liked the video, go ahead and hit like. If you like enough to follow, go ahead and subscribe, and just to keep updated on my videos that'll be coming out. But that'll be it, guys. You stay summoned and have a great day. Thank you.
It's gonna be a left click.